The shattered remains of glass followed the shattering of lives at the intersection of 27th and St. Paul. New Year's Day, signs of a double fatal collision remained. Police say the driver of the striking car was drunk. Sir, can you talk to us about what happened? We visited the listed home of the 17-year-old suspected of causing the collision. We're just trying to get the driver's side of things. If you have a moment, we'd really appreciate speaking with you. Because the teen is yet to be charged, we're not identifying family members.
They don't want to make any comments right now.
Is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of the driver?
That's my nephew, and I know he didn't mean to do it.
Police say the 17-year-old's vehicle sped through this intersection, hit the median, went airborne, and collided with the car stopped at a traffic light. Two inside that vehicle died at the scene.
I know my cousin, and I know he feels bad. I can't even imagine what's going through his head.
Family members say after the impact, the 17-year-old went to a nearby relative's house. He was arrested there, but a cousin says he had no recollection of the fatal crash.
I feel sorry for, that they had, their families going through that too. And he made a bad decision, but our family's dealing with it too.
Our prayers go out with them, just like our prayers are with my nephew too.
What's going to happen with your nephew?
I don't know. We don't know.
According to online court records, the 17-year-old was cited for being a minor in possession of alcohol this past summer, but he has no adult criminal record. Charges could be filed as early as tomorrow. One woman has remained a fugitive for decades, and while she runs from the law, one family is hoping you can bring them closure and justice. The film from 1968 shows glimpses of protest.
They were burning draft cards.
Demonstrations surrounding the war in Vietnam, and on November 21st of that year, President Lyndon Johnson was in the White House. And a Milwaukee trio was in custody. The newspaper called it a slaying. Then 18-year-old Melvitine Lampkins and two others played a part in a grocery store robbery. The article described gun whipping and shots fired. One man apparently did not move fast enough for the robbers.
Took a sawed-off shotgun and shot him in the chest.
Who shoots a 78-year-old man in a grocery store?
It was point-blank range. He put the shotgun right to his chest and pulled the trigger.
78-year-old John Adornato was shopping with his wife.
He was a gentle soul. He was a lover of people.
He was rushed from the area of Buffalo Center to a hospital. The intern at the emergency room knew there was nothing he could do, and that intern just happened to be one of Adornato's 11 grandchildren.
It took us by such shock.
Another of his grandchildren, Celia Dodge, describes the impact of the murder.
It devastated them. It really did. It broke the family apart.
The robbers were caught and convicted of the crime, including Melvitine Lampkins.
She was the lookout for the robbery.
Michelle Herrings of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force says Lampkins was sentenced to life in prison plus 60 years, but was given the chance to attend school during that time. Lampkins took advantage of the opportunity, and Herrings says she escaped in 1976 and somehow managed to escape again in 1979.
Her whereabouts and activities have been unknown since.
How could someone be missing out of a jail cell, out of a prison for 30 years?
Yes, I think they deserve an explanation.
I'd like to point a finger. I wouldn't know where to start.
Lampkins has roots in Milwaukee and Madison, and at the age of 62, she's managed to avoid law enforcement spotlight. But for how long?
She will have to pay for what she did.
A crime taking place during a time of unrest and conflict. A fugitive bringing additional unrest to a family decades later.
I don't feel vindictive, but I do feel she needs to be found.
Here is a mugshot of Melvitine Lampkins back in 1968. Next to that is a guess of what she may look like today. U.S. Marshals believe she has managed to hide using several aliases, including Melver Lampkins, Melvitine Gray, Teen Gray, and Barbara Jackson. If you have any information on her whereabouts, law enforcement wants to hear from you at 414-297-3707. They were trying to determine how fast the striking vehicle was going. Right behind me, you could see a speed limit sign. It says 20 miles per hour when children are present. Speed at this time is unknown, but a family's pain is obvious. Tears are shed by a family as loved ones walk away from the scene of an investigation. An embrace brings comfort in a time when pain and heartache collide because of a fatal collision on Port Washington near Keefe.
He ran out in between the buses because it's really hard to see with those buses lined up.
I just saw him get hit, and then all of a sudden you just hear.
It happened right after school.
It's like you just hearing like metal hit metal.
An 11-year-old student at Hope Christian School Fortis was crossing the road when police say he was hit by a 41-year-old driving this blue 1998 Dodge Ram pickup. The driver stayed at the scene and the child died shortly after. The collision happened in front of a handful of students.
It was really traumatic for the kids to see that.
He just got hit.
Quentin Solomon says he wanted to help the motionless 11-year-old.
The principal pulled me back because they didn't want no kids to go in the street.
Oh my God. I teared up. Because my nephew, he's all distraught.
A neighborhood, school, and family in shock.
It touches anybody that has a heart to see that.
An area wrapped in police tape as loved ones are surrounded by grief.
We send our condolences and prayers to the family.
Police did tell us they are looking into if the school had surveillance video of the impact. We are told this evening by investigators that the driver is cooperating. It was a chase through 4 counties involving a half-dozen law enforcement agencies. When the 2002 Chrysler minivan came to a stop, 5 were arrested, and Monday, 4 were charged in connection with the chase, including 18-year-old Daryl Thompson, who spoke exclusively to Fox 6.
I just wish things would happen a different way.
The criminal complaint says May 9th, an off-duty MPD officer called for help after seeing a minivan full of apparent burglars who were trying to force entry into homes. Police say they're looking into tools recovered from the van that could be linked to burglaries.
We wasn't doing nothing. We weren't trying to commit no burglaries or none of that. You see some black guys in a white neighborhood, you gonna call the police? That seems kind of racist to me. We was actually lost trying to look for directions so we can get out of there so I can go to school.
But what Thompson describes as a trip to class took a detour into detention. After seeing squad cars, the driver hit the gas, traveling through neighborhoods and freeway traffic, hitting speeds of up to 85 miles per hour.
I don't know how fast it was going to take the truth.
Why didn't you guys pull over?
Huh? I don't know. Tell you the truth.
Do you wish you had?
Do I wish I had? Let me see. That's the past. I can't dwell on the past.
Investigators say 17-year-old Devarian Beeman was at the wheel. Is Mr. Beeman around, or? No. Beeman is accused of stealing the vehicle from Milwaukee's ABC daycare back on May 8th. Court documents say he lives here. We're just trying to get his side of things, ma'am.
I'm not the driver.
We tried talking with the driver.
Yeah, the driver doesn't want to talk to you. I don't even know I'm talking to you right now.
Investigators say 19-year-old Jarmel Gatewood and 17-year-old Fred Gillespie were also in the van. A chase leading the law to one car and leading its occupants into the court system.
Thankfully, nobody got hurt.
Now, all the accusations that we described are coming from the Milwaukee County court system. This evening, we spoke with law enforcement. They tell us that they will be recommending charges to Racine County's district attorney, so it is possible that all those inside the van could face additional legal action.
It's pretty swollen.
A hand hacked up.
That's just a comparison.
Fingers frayed.
Me touching that, I don't feel that. I can feel it on the other side, but just not that side.
And the cuts.
Then there's that one.
Keep on coming.
There's that one. My entire arm got numb and cold.
Jordan Lass was slashed multiple times.
It was like a quick sting, like if someone were to pinch you or something like that.
He was surprised by the attack, but the weapon used was equally as shocking.
A samurai sword, that's just ridiculous.
Lass was inside this Village of Sullivan home Monday when police say an uninvited visitor, 18-year-old Robert Marquardt, walked in. Lass says he was hanging out with Marquardt's ex-girlfriend. She moved on. Marquardt did not.
He was just insanely jealous.
According to the criminal complaint, Lass received 5 lacerations and other injuries requiring 19 stitches, all caused by a weapon described as a blunt-edged sword.
Like maybe that.
About 4 feet long.
I was bleeding out.
Pictures show the injuries following the attack, with fresh wounds tended to, cuts that could have been worse.
I feel lucky to be alive.
Court documents say shortly after, Marquardt was taken into custody and confessed to the police, a crime described as anything but dull.
I hope he goes to jail for a really long time.
Lass says it'll be about 2 weeks before he's fully recovered. If convicted on the charges, Marquardt faces up to 41 years in prison.